When you need a mortgage, don't stress at all. Just tune right in and give these guys.
Good morning, YouTube. Today is Friday, July 10th. And fellas, unfortunately, the war is back on. What is going on?
What's up, fellas?
What up? Unfortunate for the war and unfortunate for a sales meeting this morning, it sounds like.
Oh, yeah. In-person sales meeting, gas prices back up, interest rates back up. Seems like it's all bad news, but luckily we're here with a lifeline today that all realtors need to know about because it is a great, great mortgage. I don't know if it's a mortgage program, Anth, a mortgage tidbit maybe.
Oh, it's a program. We got the program.
Okay, it's a program. We're like Arby's. We got the programs. And it's just great for both buyers and listing agents if you're having trouble, if you're afraid of payment shock, and it's called a 2-1 buy down. Tom, it's been around. Of course, it kind of comes and goes with the market where rates are. But I feel like a lot of real estate agents are not familiar enough with the program to use it, and that's why it's underutilized right now.
Yeah, it's a great program for a buyer that needs just a little kickstart or a little jump start from where the current rates are and everything like that. But one thing with the real estate agents, we need to know seller's assist before we could dive into the buy downs, because the only way to get a 2-1 buy down is to ask for seller's assistance. Yes, you are allowed to ask for seller's assistance on a real estate transaction. Put it in with your offer. It will be on line 3B. And we could use that 3B then to use whatever say it's 3%. We could use that 3% to pay for the 2-1 buy down to help out the rate of the buyer.
Tom hit that right on the head with the seller assistance, but let me backtrack a second before we get into all this. What is a 2-1 buy down? That is a temporary 2-year buy down for the buyer. And like Tom just said, it comes from the seller in the form of seller assistance. And that's why, Anth, we all need to work together here, because we need to get the seller assistance. We need to understand what we're using the seller assistance for, and then carry on to the loan officer to let the loan officer, instead of giving a rate of today, let's say 6.5 with an APR of 6.63, you could be getting a buyer in with 4.5 for that first year.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to options. I mean, that's what people need. You know, this program in a higher rate environment, I personally like this program. I really do, because it gives that temporary relief, you know, for the first 2 years, but it's lowering the payment significantly enough that'll allow a buyer to be able to buy, and it's more affordable. So, you know, it's a seller buy down. Ultimately, it's only beneficial if you're doing it as a seller buy down, getting the seller's assistance, because it's basically prepaid, you know, for the first 2 years, which is what's lowering that monthly payment. After the 2 years, it's fixed rate. It goes back to the original rate you would have gotten today at the higher rate, but you may not have bought at the higher rate today because it wasn't affordable for you. You were waiting for rates to come down. You don't have to wait. We can strategize and do these programs that help you now, and the rate goes back to where it was today, so that, you know, hey, if the rates are lower, you have the ability to refinance. If not, keep what you have, but you save that money for the first 2 years.
And if you're talking about saving money on a $400,000 home with 20% down, this savings from 6.5% to 4.5% that first year is roughly $400 a month, Tom, for that first year, and roughly $200 a month for the second year. I mean, for a buyer that's afraid of payment shock, don't like these interest rates, want to slowly get into the mortgage payment, what a nice advantage to save $400 a month for that first year for that scenario.
100%, because what's the alternative to that? Maybe asking for, instead of seller's assist, asking for a price reduction of maybe $8,000, which might change the monthly payment by $40 to $50. So that's 4 times what you can decrease the payment for by asking the seller for the same amount of money. because that's ultimately what it comes down to, is how much that seller is going to net. And if we can get them there a different way to help the buyer out, we're going to be able to move that real estate market around, get areas going that typically are, have homes sitting for a little while. We'll get those rejuvenated, get some people in there with lower payments. And I think the 2-1 buy down can help out some of those places.
And we just talked for the last 5 minutes of why it's good for buyers. But the beauty of this program, it's also great for that seller and that listing agent that has that property that just isn't moving. And we all know the number one thing to do when a property isn't selling is what, fellas? Drop the price. Well, who wants to drop the price if you're a seller? No one wants to do that. Well, the advantage of offering a buy down instead of simply dropping the price is it more than likely it's going to be cheaper than what you have to spend to drop the price. If the buy down's $7,000, for example, but you got to drop the price $10,000 to get it sold, by my math, Anth, the seller just saved themselves $3,000.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be cheaper than just dropping the price. And I know that's the easiest thing, a real estate agent can do is drop the price to get the momentum restarted on, all the platforms. But the thing is, like, for example, builders have been using this program for the last 8 years. They're primarily marketing 2-1 buy downs. That if you ever see marketing that shows rates in the 4s, rates in the 3s, yes, they're doing a 2 or a 3-1 buy down. They're buying that rate down for that client by giving them assistance. So it's not like it's a new program. It's out there. The hardest part is getting the combination between everybody working together to get the seller's assistance. So if you're a buyer out there and you're putting your offer in, this program is a solid program, and ask for the seller's assist. The worst they could say is no and counter. So ask for it.
And just know, getting deeper into this, there are multiple ways to use seller assistance. Again, realtors, don't get yourself in trouble by overstepping or saying things you think and talking about seller assistance only for closing costs. It doesn't have to be used for closing costs. If the buyer has their own funds, if the buyer's getting a gift, maybe they just want a lower interest rate and they want to use the seller assistance for that purpose. It's a negotiating tool for buyers. And on the financing side, we do suggest that buyers ask for seller assistance. It helps out the financing end. It makes their finances better in one way or another, whether they're getting a lower interest rate, their closing costs are less. It's definitely an advantage to a buyer to get seller assistance.
100%. I mean, we'll make it work one way or the other. Can't do anything if we don't have it, though.
Exactly. And there are limits to the seller assistance. It can depend on down payment. It can depend on loan program. And again, that's what we're here for. We want to be that happy team to get the buyers to the finish line. We understand everyone can't do every part of the transaction. We just want to be the financing part. We want to be your partner to help out with all of this crazy mortgage jargon and rules and programs. It's what we live for. So give us a call. We're here. Thank you for the business. Happy weekend. Everyone be safe. I'll talk to you boys later.
See you guys.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Tom, Ryan, and Anthony. Oh, they